everyone. This is me, Ritoma, your host and your host for today's episode. Today, in our Workday Growth Podcast, we have another special guest, Miss Ruchika Malik. So, let's first know a little bit about her. So, Ruchika is a seasoned Workday functional SME who brings 8 years of cross industry experience in human resource technology consulting, core HR, and IT. With 7 years of workday consulting, she has in depth expertise in HCM, reporting, Prism Analytics, security, and people experience modules. Ruchika is skilled in end to end global workday implementation, physics, and deployments. Has a rich background in various industries, including financial services, travel, technology, manufacturing, and transportation. Whoa, she has an immense amount of knowledge in all of the sectors. Additionally, she has an hands-on experience with other technology platforms like Salesforce, SharePoint, and .NET. So let's welcome the special guest of us today, and let's hear it from her directly that how is her professional life is going on and how does she work in worked environment. Thank you. Hi, Ruchika.
Hello, Ritama. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm great. How are you? I should ask you that.
All good, all good. Glad
Okay,
to hear.
so
I'm excited.
tell me about your day. Like, how was your day? Today is the Ram inauguration day. So how's it happening there?
It's not been as exciting as it is for people in Ayodhya. We've just been looking at the laptop. So this is the most exciting part about my day. And yes, right, I deep into it.
So, Ruchika, I just tell you, I've shared a glimpse of your career in a short nutshell. So, could you just share us a little bit more about what is your designation and what you exactly do in Workday and what is it about? Like from the
Sure.
beginning, how you started your career like that.
Sure. So I have a background in engineering, and right after that, I was hired into Accenture. That's where I was working on different technologies like SharePoint, Salesforce, .NET. But about a year and a half of doing that later, I realized that I would want to add some more skills rather than just focus on the technical aspects of solutioning. So I went ahead with an MBA in HR, and Deloitte was the first recruiter on campus, and they were hiring for HR transformation or HR technology that we're going to discuss today. The idea is to have functional knowledge about core HR processes and then blend it with your technical knowledge so that you can then create digitized systems for your customers. So that was very interesting to me. And Workday at that point in time was very hot in the market. This was back in 2017. So I started my Workday journey with Deloitte. I'm currently with IBM. And over the past 7 years of Workday consulting, I have worked on both sides of the value chain. I've done global end-to-end implementations as well as support and phase X projects. And it's always exciting and interesting to see how customers or clients who are based out of different geographies and who belong to different industries, how they leverage the Workday ecosystem, whether it's building it from scratch or whether it is expanding their current ecosystem. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So that's exciting to me. But yes, I'm currently handling the role of a functional SME. My current project requires me to build and lead the HCM design discussions. So we are almost nearing the go live. It's on 1st of March. But yes, the most exciting part of it, that's design discovery discussions, we are past that. So now we're just slowly easing into getting them ready for go live.
All right. So, thank you so much for sharing. And now I'll just straight up go to the question parts because I'm really excited to know. Because with
Sure.
every expert, I'm like this person who's the first student. Like I will learn and I'll just gawkily looking at you and listen to you what you're saying and what is it all about. So I love learning. So like me, there are people, there are audiences out there who will also listen to you. So my first
Okay.
question goes like, you have been involved in end-to-end global implementation and Phase X projects across functional modules in Workday. Can you share some of the strengths you have observed in the product?
And that's a great question because there are so many ERP systems that are available in the market. So I'd want to dive deeper into that aspect as well. How do organizations go around selecting an ERP system? But if I specifically talk about Workday, I think the first and the foremost thing that comes to my mind is how HCM is at the core of the Workday solution. That's what it started off as, and now slowly over the years it's completely transformed into the functionalities and capabilities that it can offer beyond beyond HCM. So
Right.
when I talk about Workday HCM, any organization that's looking at their people who are their
Mhm.
center, and that happens mostly in service based companies wherein everything is about my people. Not that it's not there with other organizations, but sometimes there are organizations which have to be very heavily focused on talent, performance, hire to retire processes. So if that
Right.
is the focus, then Workday offers some great solutions. And the functionalities that are available, I would argue that it is better than what other ERP systems with HCM modules have, or even other standalone HCM solutions would offer. So that way, I think the robustness of the HCM solution is the topmost strength. The second part is something that I alluded to in the beginning, which is the ERP, how it's the ERP part of Workday, in the sense that Workday is starting from an HCM centric solution, how it's been able to expand itself and be also known as one of the top 10 ERP systems as of 2024. This has been happening because it's realized that not every organization is going to have a digital transformation in just HCM. They could be looking at financial planning, they could be looking at procurement or workforce planning for that matter. So, all of these different areas are also now available in Workday. And the best part is, if I, as an organization, have realize that I definitely need to go on to a transformative digital journey, I can decide whether I want to implement, say, only HCM and learning, and maybe I keep talent, compensation, recruitment outside. Again, it depends, but you have that option with Workday. And the third part is, if an organization decides to do that, they can seamlessly integrate Workday solution with all of these third-party application systems that they would have. So I can probably have my comp, HCM, recruitment sitting in Workday, and I can have all of these integrations which are seamlessly ensuring that the data is flowing from Workday to my external systems, or the other way around, from these external systems back into Workday. In fact, the best part that I like about it, because I've extensively worked on it, is Prism Analytics. So many of the organizations have disparate systems. Many a times I've seen that companies would have their entire workforce data sitting in the system, but let's say I, as a manager, have to log into a different system to figure out whether my employees have completed all the mandatory training or not. And what Prism Analytics, which is another tool that's or functionality that's offered by Workday, does is it brings all of these disparate systems together by getting all of their data into Workday. So now I do not have to worry about logging into different systems. I just have all of that information sitting in Workday. It's all secured, reportable, because it's utilizing the existing capabilities. So this integration with third-party applications is again something that gives it an edge. And finally, just the maturity of the software, in the sense that Workday started off as a cloud based platform back in
Right.
2005. And since then, it has. It's made such a niche for itself. It's got so many implementation partners. More than 50% of the Fortune 500 companies are already on Workday. So
Right.
uh, it did not really have to go through a journey to go from on-premise to cloud, like all the quite a few of the other ERP systems had to. It just had to ensure that it's constantly upgrading, updating, and having those incremental changes so that it is aligned with what's happening in the market. But it did not really have to make any drastic change with the other companies had to keep up with it. So in terms of robustness and maturity, I think Workday is a level ahead as compared to other ERP platforms. So that's what I'll say would be the top 4 or 5 strengths.
Wonderful. It was like a very, very good described manner about Workday. So I'll
Mhm.
jump into the next question as well. Workday appears to be an excellent platform, like you said, for organization looking for digital transformation. With various options in the market, how can organization determines if it's right fit for them or not?
That is always a tricky bit because there are so many options. So I think we can divide this into a couple of parts. The first is that the organization firstly would need to understand what are their needs. If I have decided that my organization needs to move on to a different system altogether, it has to stem from something, and that is where we need to deep dive. It could be something like, maybe I have a lot of administrative processes, a lot of bottlenecks in the system, because of which decision making is a very slow and tedious process. Maybe I want my people to have access to the system on the go. I shouldn't have to open up my laptop, log into the desktop application to apply for a leave. I should be able to do it on my mobile while probably having a cup of coffee outside. Or it could be something like having a better user experience. Let's say
Right.
there are organizations which are very HR centric, that everything has to go to the HR department, a lot of paperwork, a lot of processes. Workday, on the other hand, I'm just taking that as an example here, but this holds true for any ERP that you would want to go ahead with, is whether you would want to give more power to your managers and to your employees. I can go in and apply for a leave for myself. I can put in my own time entries. I do not need to send that information to an HR or to a manager so that they can submit it on my behalf. So that sort of a need requirement is something that organizations can start with, after which they can decide that, okay, these are the pain points that we have to solve for, and this is what we would have to look in the ERP system. So the first part is, what are the needs? The second
Okay.
part would be getting some internal stakeholder alignment, or some getting some resources from within your organization who can be who can vouch for this ERP implementation. Why I say that is because when an organization is completely transforming themselves, it is a great effort. There are so many people involved, both sides of the value chain, be it the customer side or the implementation partner side, and there is effort, there is time, and there is a lot of money involved. So
Right.
when it can't be that there are only a few people who are a part of the actual project making decisions for the entire organization, because maybe people who are very specific to the department would know about some crucial details that maybe another executive would not know. If I'm a part of sales, I don't know what are the pain points of accounting, but maybe because of this organizational transformation, both of us could be impacted. So what is important is that I from a sales department should also be involved as the person, maybe from human resources or accounting. And once these people are involved and they have such sponsors, then those people would not just give their inputs that, I think we should do ABCD as part of this transformation, but they would continuously ensure that their team is also aligned with this change coming up. Because a lot of the times, the people, even if the system is implemented, the organization is not very keen on adopting it, or there's a lot of resistance with change management. So if we have internal sponsors, it's going to ensure that everybody is on the same page and everybody knows what should they expect on the other side once the system is live. The third thing is, once you know about the needs, once your internal team is aligned, you need to then check what are the options that are available in the market. Now, even if I talk about Workday, I myself have worked with Deloitte, IBM, there is Accenture, PwC, KPMG. There are so many other implementation partners in the market, to name a few. So how should an organization now decide which implementation partner should I go for? Now, that should be based and uh, before which implementation partner, which ERP system should they implement? Um,
Okay.
and that is where it's important to see which ERP is known to be the best in their industry. I could be from healthcare, and maybe for healthcare, the best ERP is A, but maybe for retail, it is B. So all of that information is already there in the market. We do not need to go through all the different ERP systems. Moreover, there is a level of flexibility and customization that every organization needs. There can't be a simple lift and shift. So would the ERP that I pick up offer me that customization, that flexibility, so that all my regional and local requirements can be taken into consideration? More so, would I be able to, would that new process or the new system ensure that there is compliance for legal and regulatory requirements, which can be ensured? So it's things like these which would then help them narrow the gap and finally decide, okay, these are the top 2 or 3 ERP systems that I can then review. And then based on that and all the implementation partners that are available, they can then finalize who to go ahead with. And then selecting the right implementation partner also has its own challenges, because like I mentioned, there are so many available in the market. So that's where they have to decide um, what has
Which,
been their history in terms of successful implementations. Let's say
right.
an organization says, you are in the healthcare industry, we've done 5 implementations in the past 3 years, all of them are successful, these are the recommendations. That would, as an organization, give me a lot of hope, and it'll get me all charged up to go ahead with that specific implementation partner. Moreover, if there is any option regarding training and support services that are offered, then again, it's better, because it's not just about implementation. That system has to keep on working. And if I can get that sort of training and support from my vendors, then it would give them a better edge as compared to all the other vendors that are sitting in the market. So it's a combination of these things. And I think a top down approach has to be followed here. You need to start with your organization needs, get your internal sponsors, see what are the best ERP based systems available in the market based on your industry, and then who are the different vendors that you can then finally get in touch with. So I hope that answered your question, Ritima.
Yes, absolutely, it did. Absolutely. And also Workday is actually growing like about 10 years back. Like, I spoke to one of the Workday experts before. It's like there was nobody practically knew about what is Workday is, and they were unaware of the fact that Workday was there a lot of times. But now Workday has a like large scale of their work, and they have grown so huge in the span of 10 years and a decade. Yeah. And people are still this podcast is basically focusing on those people who mostly
Mm.
focusing on those people who does not know what Workday is. So it's a massive thing. And another 20 years, it's going to change its variation maybe, but it's still going to be the best platform ever. So let's jump into the next question then.
Absolutely. Sure.
Uh, with 65 million users, Workday has witnessed multiple full site deployments. Could you share a complexity in which implementations and how partners can guide organization to mitigate risk based on your experience?
So yes, no implementation is without its complexity. If at all somebody says that they had a very smooth implementation, I would be very envious of them, because I did not get to experience that yet. But I think complexities can be in various different areas, and it also depends upon the organization. However,
Right.
a few common things that I've seen, be it on phase X projects or end-to-end projects, is that firstly, just selecting the right partner is fairly complex, and that's where a lot of these implementations fail eventually, because the organizations realize that it is not working out, because it's a huge collaboration effort. Teams on both the ends need to be on the same page in terms of what is it that they're finally trying to achieve. So getting that right partner has to be the first step. The second thing that I could say is the documentation. Now, every discussion starts with what is your current process, what is your as is process, so that we as implementation partners can tell you, okay, this is what you need to change. The second part is around documentation. Now, every conversation starts with what is the as is system, so that we can then discuss more about how do we want to put that into the new system, whichever has been decided upon. So many a times we see that organizations do not have a lot of documentation around their current processes, and only when we start building it into the system do we get to know about the nitty gritties that were missed out, because there's probably something very specific to a country or to a region that was never documented anywhere. And it's not just about documentation on the organization side. I think it's also important that we, as implementation partners, maintain a very thorough and robust documentation, because once the system is live and probably there is a new support team or maybe their internal support team, their only source of the truth of how the system works is the documentation we create in terms of what we implemented. So if that is poor, then it's going to lead to a lot of hurdles. Um, the third part is data migration. As they say, garbage in, garbage out. So when we are trying to implement a new system, we can't just get all of the data from the legacy system and push it into, say, Workday. We have to ensure it's in the right format, or only the required details are available. Something that's just sitting in the system for the sake of it, never used, not going to be used, is not something that we would want to migrate. So data migration takes a major part of the implementation effort. In fact, there's a separate team on both the ends, which is just ensuring that the right set of data is pushed in a timely manner. Then testing. You've implemented it all. The testing, I think, starts from us, because we as implementers know what we've implemented. So unit testing is important. There should be a user acceptance testing, which involves thorough end-to-end testing from a business perspective. If people are implementing payroll as part of their digital transformation, there should be parallel testing so that you are getting the right output. So testing phase overall end-to-end is very important. And finally, communication. I think many a times clients feel that we are investing millions of dollars into implementing Workday. It's going to solve all our problems. I wish that were the case, because also comes down to the fact what has been decided initially in terms of what our goal is, and translating the requirements into the final goal. It's a long journey, but it's not going to ensure that everything is going to be completely removed in terms of bottlenecks. Maybe some new bottlenecks would arise, but you have to be very transparent with the client in terms of what they can expect once the system finally goes live. If there's an alternate solution, offer that. If there is no solution, mention that so that everybody is prepared. So I think these are some of the complexities that I've seen. And in terms of how do we mitigate it, I think the first part is having a very clear strategy, which is something that I've mentioned a few times in my previous answers, because what is your overall organizational strategy should also be a part of what is your strategy for implementing your digitized solution. If the overall corporate strategy is that I want to have a very standardized system, standardized processes across all the different systems that I have, I cannot implement Workday and have all the regions having their own separate business processes. So there should be alignment with what your corporate strategy is. And secondly, what are your business needs? What are they expecting in terms of user experience? That is key. The second part is having a very clear integration and implementation plan. What is going to be a part of it? Because we can't just focus on the technical aspect. There are different areas such as job architectures, testing, change management that comes into the picture. Technical part is the easy part, but that comes in only once the rest of the design decisions are made. So everything has to be taken into consideration. The third is change management. It is so important, and the earlier we start, the better it is, because only then can you realize whether there are any areas of resistance that you need to cater to. Because if the people are not utilizing the system that you spent millions of dollars on, then there is no point. And in fact, it's also a great option to get ideas from the people, so as to understand what is it that they want from the new system, and then you can implement it accordingly. And finally, having a quality assurance framework in place. Are there any risks? Do we want to prioritize anything? Do we have to mitigate any of the issues that have cropped up? So at every stage, if you're maintaining quality, you can be assured that whatever is delivered at the end of it is something that's completely going to be aligned with what the business asked for. And that's when both the parties can be happy. So this is what I can say in terms of how do we ensure a successful implementation.
Wow. So it's a lot Like a lot of
A lot.
information got into my head, and I'm like curious to know every bit of it in more detailed manner. So maybe we'll do this some other episode. But yes,
Absolutely.
I'm getting more curious about Workday with every passing day. So now my fourth question goes like, let's pivot to AI. Like, actually,
Hmm.
I think I get more excited about talking about AI on related to any platform or anything has an addition to AI. So let's talk about AI for Workday. So an area witnessing significant interest with Workday actively participating in this trend. What's the real potential of AI and how is Workday approaching it?
Okay, another interesting question because AI, of course, is the hype, and now generally everybody, even me for that matter, there are so many tools and applications that have come up which have seamlessly included AI into our day-to-day activities. Chat GPT, for that matter, everybody's utilizing it. In fact, the paid version now has a long list of waiting because everybody wishes to get into it. So yes, Workday also realizes it, and it's understood that the potential of AI revolutionizing the way organizations can manage and develop their workforce is huge. So there are essentially three areas that I see AI would completely transform the workforce or the future of work, for that matter. First is it is going to remove all of that noise. It's going to automate all of those repetitive, mundane tasks that people are spending a lot of time on.
Absolutely.
Secondly, it can analyze huge chunks of data. I think that organizations sometimes, key stakeholders have to deal with so many data points, out of which maybe two or three matter. So it's going to
Right.
remove all of that. And thirdly,
Right.
because of all of this, it's going to make decision making so easy for stakeholders. They can then just focus their energy there. So overall, yes, with all of this, Workday realizes that generative AI is something that has to be the focus of their solution as well. And what do I mean by generative AI? ChatGPT actually is an example. Generative AI would generate something based on the data that you came to the system. So
Right.
it can produce summarized content, document, even music, images, text, anything. So
Right.
how is generative AI going to be utilized by Workday? Workday started utilizing large language models, which is essentially huge amount of data, and there is a lot of computing that happens over it, and this results in patterns, patterns that even we cannot figure out because it's just a lot of data. And once
Absolutely.
patterns are recognized, um, there is predictions that are made, predictions in the sense of what is the best outcome. So that is what Workday is using. Now the best part about it, Workday wants data to finally create those generative AI use cases. And
Right.
all the Workday customers, the 65 million users that you mentioned, they are on the same Workday version in the live environment, and they're utilizing the same data model. And these customers have an option to share their data with Workday. If they do not want to, they can say that they don't wish to. They have access to around 450 billion transactions on a yearly basis. With all of that data, they can then build models because it's real data. It is not unbiased or inaccurate or dummy data. This is actual live organization data. And utilizing all of that, they're creating all of this meaningful, trustworthy results that can be utilized to create generative AI use cases. And the customers are also sharing this information because they realize that whatever AI use cases Workday creates, that will in turn benefit them. And it's not that Workday is sharing uh, private or confidential information about these organizations. They're just utilizing that in a very ethical manner to
Right.
generate use cases that can be then utilized by organizations. So Workday is doing a lot here because they already have a huge database, but it doesn't stop there because Workday is like, fine, we are doing all of this, but there are other organizations that are doing a lot. There's Google, Microsoft,
Yeah.
Amazon, and there are some emerging leaders in AI that are coming up. So what Workday said is, you know what, we'll partner with all of you. We also want to know what you guys are doing so that we can then develop solutions that can be utilized by our organizations or customers that are already live or wish to be live on Workday. And then finally, there is always this question about privacy, about security when we talk about AI. Even with ChatGPT, you're putting in all of this information. So
Right.
there's always, you want to ensure that even firstly your data is secure, and secondly, even if you're putting all of this data out, the results should be accurate. There shouldn't be any bias. How do we ensure that? So Workday has created its own governance AI program, and they have set up their own guidelines and evaluation process, so that any solution that comes out of this generative AI model that they're creating, it has to pass this evaluation process, and only then would it be available to the end users. So this way, they've ensured that it's secure, it's reliable, it's trustworthy, and it's free of any bias. So
It's
a
focus-
lot happening in the Workday space.
and it's also focusing on the particular work related to work. They're not something focus around what's happening. That's
Absolutely.
what
Mhm.
actually. Oh God, AI is gonna be like the personal
Oh,
assistant for
yes.
all of us.
Everybody needs to be on board with AI. This is something that all the leaders, in fact, even in our organization, we had generative AI trainings that were available to everybody, because organizations have realized that this is the new thing. Everybody needs to be on board. So, yes,
Right.
interesting times
Wow.
and exciting times.
Glad, glad I'm bought this time. I'm glad. So I'll jump into the last question, and I'm kind of sad that we can't have more questions as you have also busy with your work and me as well. So let's ask you what. It's evident that AI has already reshaped how work is conducted and decisions are made. How do you foresee AI changing the future of work, and what values it brings for both new and existing Workday customers?
So, in terms of value, I think there are so many areas that artificial intelligence is going to change the game in. I think the first is we can start with recruitment, actually, be it sourcing or screening resumes and candidates. Organizations have to go through thousands of applications. AI is going to just get the right set of resumes sourced for the recruiter based on the skills that they mentioned they're looking for.
Right.
Then when we talk about performance management learning, they would be able to have a very proactive approach to things, because based on all the details that are available, rather than organizations being reactive in the sense that, okay, we've got these skills gap, or we need to create a new training module, AI would automatically be able to tell the organizations that this is what you should be focusing on. Your career growth plans or succession planning needs this tweak. You should focus on this skill because there are not a lot of trainings available, and we have a dearth of resources in that area. Also, workforce planning, for that matter, it can predict whether what the attrition rate is going to be, what's the gap in terms of skills. So every area, I think, at least in the human capital cycle, is going to be touched by AI in some way or the other, only to enhance how decisions are taken quickly and efficiently. And when I talk about Workday, so Workday has an annual conference every year. It's called Workday Rising. And that's basically the Workday community getting together to discuss the technology, what all unique solutions they've implemented, and also understand what Workday has in store for them as customers. So Workday,
Right.
in 2023, in last year's Workday Rising conference, they have something called AI Marketplace. Now, what is AI Marketplace? So they I spoke about all the generative AI that they're working on. So they are
Right.
now they've partnered with all of these uh, emerging AI leaders and also other organizations that are heavily working in the AI space to create
Yeah.
new use cases and solutions. All of these solutions are going to be available on the AI marketplace. So customers can then just go in and select. It's like buying new solutions and new applications, and based on whatever use cases that they wish to solve for, those solutions are already available. They just need to then get it from the marketplace and implement it on Workday. Also, these use cases are going to be they're going to go through that AI governance process that they already have in place. So they're going to ensure that the results are meaningful. Also, it is going to give them clear and immediate benefits. How so? Because the AI marketplace beta version is already in place, and there are 15 partners that are already testing this. So, whatever comes out of that testing, is going to be finally available on the AI marketplace once it goes live. And it's going to go live in the first half of 2024. So clients can be very excited to utilize all of these AI solutions that Workday is developing with these third-party vendors. And they can then leverage these already built-in use cases and then submit more so that we can continuously add more applications to it. And AI, of course, is now going to be the future of digital transformation.
So, like, absolutely true. Like, I think now I kind of, it's a weird thing to say, but now kind of I just imagine that I'll go to a market and a robot will be standing and selling be a shopkeeper or something. Like, I imagine I go in a futuristic way like that. So as AI has already in, like, it's involved in everything. Like, I think I don't know any sector which does not use an AI right now. I may
Absolutely.
be wrong. I may be wrong. There may be few sectors which AI has not been introduced yet, but everything and everything AI has enhanced the entire creative platform to it. So Ruchika,
Mhm.
I what do I say? I don't know. I'm so happy to have this conversation with you, have this podcast with
Of
you, and I wish
course.
that I had many questions regarding your change management and so on and so forth. And there are a lot of other things that I wish that I could have extended this conversation, but maybe some other time. But thank you
Of
so much
course.
for your lovely time and your lovely smile.
Messages, I think it's going to be around generative AI use cases. So it doesn't matter any ERP platform that they're on, especially Workday. Um, I, I think that they should be looking at how can they solve any issues or essentially automate any processes that they're implementing for their clients. In fact, they can already start those discussions rather than just relying on the use cases Workday is creating, because any more details that we can get from different partners who are implementing processes, any ideas that can come up is going to start another conversation. And that conversation is finally going to result in another AI solution. So I think that's going to be the focus.
The information you shared is more than enough. I think
Yeah.
audiences will understand that, okay, how much it is important to
Mhm.
know all these terms and terminologies and their descriptions, and how we can use it in the Workday platform when they enter into the Workday zone.
Yeah.
So again, Ruchika, thank you so much, and I wish you
Thank you,
a very
Ritama.
happy new year and a best day ahead. Okay, thank you.
Same to you. Have a great day. Thank you, Ritama. Bye bye.